The Boston Red Sox hit the field looking to get back on top of the American League East. We're breaking down every pitch all season long on Obie's Backstop Podcast, part of the CMG Sports Podcast Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Backstop Podcast. I'm your host, Ovi Muniz. I have a special guest today on my show, and he is on the podcast called The Roll Call. That's right. He is famously known in the radio business, I think, somewhere in the state of Connecticut. He's also like the owner of Clovercrest Media. Yeah, you know, he's like this my boss type deal, right? Who really supports his New York Yankees. And it fits great because this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Red Sox travel from Houston to the Bronx to take on the New York Yankees. So let's welcome my special guest, Joe. How you doing, man?
Oh, so good to be here. So good to be here. Very excited for this great show. I'm glad that you we desperately needed a Red Sox podcast since they got relevant quicker than anybody ever thought they would. No, I'm just joking. You know, I actually said don't count the Red Sox out this year. That's too good a team, too many good players with Martinez and Devers, and you know, I still think that your pitching is a problem. Pavetta's not gonna keep winning games with that ERA. You know what I mean? Like, so there's some flaws in that team. I think the Red Sox are, when you think about where things have been the last couple of years, ahead of pace. From you know, you trade Mookie Betts, could have been bad. That could have been really David Price. Like that could have been bad. And the Red Sox have a history of making moves like that and things panning out.
You're right. And you know, the thing is, if you look at their stats now, they're not so great. So it looks like, you know, Bloom is actually making things right, you know, not signing players to a multi-contract like other teams are doing. And we've seen it already. When you pay players a lot of money, they're not producing, you know, 10-year contracts, over $300 million. Sometimes that doesn't make sense. And when people say like, yeah, pay them. But look, people get hurt. You know, bodies change and everything else. But besides the point, here we are, the Yankees and the Red Sox. And you mentioned that, but the Yankees over there, you know, it's surprising that the bats are not swinging the way they normally play Yankee baseball. So tell me more about what's going on and what is it that they need to improve moving on forward for the Yanks.
You know, surprisingly, the Yankees on base percentage is kind of up there. It's up over around 300, and the batting average, I don't know where it stands as of today, but it was at 226 as of yesterday. So you know, they got beat up again today. I'm not sure where things are at, but 226 obviously isn't cutting the mustard. The other big problem, you know, this team's striking out 12, 14, 15 times a game. And I think you have the stat up there. I mean, the Yankees have hit 64 home runs in 56 games. That's shocking. It would have been more if you would have told me before the year that Giancarlo Stanton would have 55 home runs in 65 games. I would believe that over the entire Yankees team in 55 games would have 65 home runs. So they're getting on base. They're not scoring runs, as you could see. The power is not there. Even doubles. Again, you see, you know, 677 total bases. It's surprisingly, guys like Gary Sanchez and Giancarlo Stanton are hitting the ball on the ground, hitting really hard grounders, which is not what anybody wants to see, Obi. Nobody wants to see that.
Hey, you know what? And the thing is not only it's just the Yankees and the Red Sox, because I'm gonna tell you more about them. It's just surprised that Major League Baseball as a whole, the averages is sunk low. I think if I'm not mistaken, they're averaging at least 233. And the
Yep.
strikeout ratio is sky up there. And those that have been on my show listening in, how I always say, look, the Red Sox are striking out so many times. And runners in scoring position has been the biggest struggle for the Red Sox. I mean, if you got a guy at second and third, guess what? More likely, the batter is up on the plate. Oh, he's going to strike out. It almost seems like every 3 or 4 games, the Red Sox will want to hit runs. Like, for example, today they defeated the Houston Astros 5-1. But what were the bats the first 3 games? And as far as the pitching is concerned, there's this combination that Alex Cora is doing that's making these pitchers great. But in the long run, it's the bullpen, because the bullpen's been utilized so much so far, and we're not even halfway through the season. Do they have enough gas towards the end of the season going into the playoffs? Because, look, Boston Red Sox were predicted to finish in 4th. And, look, they're neck to neck with the Tampa Bay Rays, and so the Yankees, which is surprisingly supposed to be up there already during this time in first place. They're now looking in 3rd place. So plenty of baseball yet to come. A lot more improvements. Where we go from here, could we see more improvements, or we're going to see the same old throughout the season?
I would say, if I was a betting man, and not as a Yankee fan here, but just somebody who's looking at the numbers and again, understanding the ebb and flow of baseball, is it more likely that a guy like Nick Pivetta is going to go 19-5 this year? Right,
that's a strong possibility.
Sure, maybe he will. I mean, I'm looking at his numbers, and again, he's gotten plenty of run support. He hasn't pitched poorly, but he's not exactly. You look at his record, and you're like, oh, and you look at the numbers, and you're like, all right. He's getting good run support. Nathan Eovaldi he was with the Yankees for a few years, excellent pitcher. And when he's on, he's, I think, one of the better guys in the game. The problem is he's off, and he can be very inconsistent, as I'm sure you already know.
Well, definitely I could compare the notes once we start comparing pitchings on both sides. But the month of May seems to be a little struggle for the Red Sox as pitching wise. However, looking at the Yankees, how you guys started terribly with ERAs over 6, showing a lot of improvement in the month of May.
Well, so I said before the year that I for me, look, best case scenario, and I really felt like this was going to happen, was that the unknown factors of this rotation were Kluber, Tyone, and Herman. And my suggestion was, well, Kluber's going to be Kluber. Why wouldn't he be, right? No hitter the whole 9. He's now hurt. Shoulder going to be out for 2 months. World deal.
Was it because of the no-hitter that was too much for him? He couldn't
It
handle
probably was. He probably threw too many pitches that game. Honestly, it's a shame, but he got beat up in his next start, and now he's out for 2 months. And but he was what I thought he was going to be, the Corey Kluber of old, and he was on his way to getting there. Domingo Germán, I mean, again, for people like, who knows what you're going to get from him? Why would you get anything other than what he's been doing? He's a really good pitcher. He's an a-hole as far as human beings are concerned. Anybody who slaps a woman is a disgusting, cowardly human. But he served his sentence. They're like, people are, who knows? The guy's got filthy stuff. He knows how to pitch. I've seen some writings recently. He's very inconsistent. I would 100% disagree with that. In 33 starts, this guy's going to be like everyone else and have like 8 stinkers, and the rest are all going to be quality starts, or at least really, really good ones. And he's going to win a lot of games. James Tyone is the guy I was most concerned about, and we've seen flashes of brilliance from him. 9 strikeouts in a 5-inning outing the other night. Too many walks. Can't put guys away. I mean, again, I said 9 strikeouts in 5 innings, and still we're talking about he struggles to put guys away. 2 strikes, 2 outs, especially. It always ends up coming back to bite him. So 2 out of the 3, I is what I expected. It was the same guys I thought. Garrett Cole did not pitch well today, but it's been fantastic all year. Came into today with a 1.78 ERA. Gave up 5 runs in 5 innings, so not what you want. Disappointing the way the Yankees have played. Ryan Yarbrough actually threw a complete game, which is just devastating. Yanks now 4.5 back, as you said. They've lost 7 out of 10 heading into this series with the Red Sox. Again, not really what you want. They were really picking up momentum here, having lost the first game to the Rays. They won the next 2. It would have been nice to win this series. Unfortunately, not in the cards today for the Yankees. By the way, Giancarlo Stanton was out of the lineup for the second time in the past 3 days. 1 for his 16 with 9 strikeouts in 5 games since he came back from his left quad injury. DJ LeMahieu continues to struggle, hitting .255. That was the guy that everybody needed back. He took a discount to stay with the Yankees. They've now scored 5 runs or less in 11 straight games. And DJ LeMahieu tossed his helmet after striking out in today's game. A .255 average for a guy last year who hit .360. So that's taken a devastating toll. The other big problem we've seen, OV, twofold. The Yankees have wrapped into, at this point, what is a record-setting amount of double plays. They will shatter the record if it continues at this pace. No reason to think it won't. The other big problem the Yankees have is they've been thrown out on the base paths nearly 30 times this year. If it's not at the 30 mark, it was at 25, and then Gary had another bum one. So it's at 27, maybe 28. This team's not good enough to have guys thrown out. I mean, they get thrown out at the plate 3 times a week. It's stunning. Gary Sanchez doubled the other night, big hit. Next guy gets up, hits a grounder to short, and he breaks for third. Dude, I mean, this is little league stuff here, and I'm the biggest Gary Sanchez supporter there is. He's clearly the Yankees' better option at catcher, by the way, for anybody who's not well versed in the Yankees right now. Higasioka's hitting under 200, and Gary is actually a touch over 200. He's been playing a little bit better, but again, making a lot of stupid base running decisions, OV, and a lot of it is Yankee fans hate his guts. Guys trying to make stuff happen. He sailed the ball into center field, trying to throw a runner out. Later in that game, picked the guy off at first. So he's pressing. He's trying to make things happen. He struggles, but he's been hitting. He's been drawing walks. So Gary Sanchez right now is been the better catcher. They were giving Kyle Higasioka the majority of the starts, and it took about 2 weeks, OV, for this guy to go from hitting 300 to hitting a $190. Not an everyday catcher, never will be. It's a hard job to have in Major League Baseball, and Gary is proof that you could be great and really struggle at that position.
Well, I'm glad that you shared all your thoughts on the Yankees.
Are there more
ups and downs and stuff? But in relations, I think what it is like every team have a lot of issues, right? So the Boston Red Sox, they decided to have a lot of utility players. So now, no matter what the lineup is and stuff like that, like Mauro Gonzalez, this guy already played left field, right field, and all over infield, right? And all these players could match up. Besides catcher and pitcher, they could bounce around in different places. That is unique, and it really is. But if you're going to win championships, right now the Red Sox, they claim they got the right starters, and we don't even have Chris Sale yet, right? Which he's supposed to be coming sometime in July. But if you look at the bats, you need offense to score runs, right? Yeah. And the Red Sox are in pace. You said that the Yankees are in pace to breaking a record for double plays, right? The Red Sox are in pace to shatter the strikeouts. because it seems like every game they're striking out 11 to 12 times a game. How can you win a championship when you strike out so many times?
Well, it's tough. And again, because, here's what you have to come to the reality of. And the Yankees are in, like I told you, they're in the same boat. It's the last few years, fans have been complaining that for the Yankees, it's strikeout or home run, which is basically what baseball's become: strikeout, home run, walk. And you get to the postseason, and the home runs don't come as regularly as you'd like them to. And the strikeouts increase because you're facing the best rotation in baseball, probably.
And not only that, but you're going to face them as a possibility of 7 games. So you really got to know your opponent.
Oh, yeah. Now, Here's the other thing, and I don't want this to be lost on anybody, and it's the thing that, ESPN can stick it. I don't know why they don't want to talk about this. In 2018 and 2019, the baseballs were juiced. Everybody knows that. Every pitcher in baseball talked about it. We saw balls sailing off bats. And you had been programming guys for that Super Bowl anyway because of launch angle and all that other nonsense, Stratocast and launch angle and all this other nonsense. The baseball was setting themselves up for this, and then they pulled the ball back, went back to normal, and now guys are really struggling. The other big problem with baseball, as I see it, is, Pedro Martinez, as much as I hate him, is a great pitcher, OV. What was the guy about?
He's the Yankees daddy? That's why you hate him?
He's what is this guy, 5'7", 175 pounds?
Mm.
Great pitcher. And now if you're not 6'5" and you can't throw 100, they don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, that's sad. It really is.
It's ruining the game.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, those big guys that throw 100 don't have any kind of control. You saw Kevin Millar take one in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Stanton's gotten hit in the face. That's what happens when you put guys that can't control a 100-mile-an-hour fastball in a game. People get hurt. Eventually what's going to have to happen is you're going to have to move this pitcher's mound back a little bit.
And that is the rumor that's going on now in the minor leagues and independent leagues that the MLB has paid to test and survey to see if this type of movement will be official. I think, if I'm not mistaken, in the next couple of years, next couple of seasons.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, listen, you're fundamentally changing the game right now. And it's, you see a lot of people are complaining about it. You got to do something about it. And plain and simple. I remember when I was a kid, throwing 100-mile-an-hour pitch.
Actually,
the 80s was like guys that could do that were few and far between.
Mm-hmm.
Nolan Ryan could do it. J.R. Richard could do it. Back in the day when I was growing up, again, it was like a handful of human beings could do this. And now you look at a team like the Tampa Bay Rays, every guy in their team throws 100 miles an hour. And none of them's good enough to be a starter, which is insane if you think about it. Imagine if any of these guys had skill and could sort of get it together. You know what I mean? It's insane. But
you're absolutely right.
They don't want craftsmen in baseball anymore. They want guys that can throw 100 miles an hour and hitters that can hit balls that are 100 miles an hour. And that's not fun.
The one good improvement I like about baseball round is what they do for extra innings. And I am a witness to one of the games a couple of years ago when the San Francisco Giants visited the Boston Red Sox. The game went to 15 innings. And you're going to tell me, I left that ballpark at 3 o'clock in the morning, just in time for get a couple hours of rest before I had to go to work, right? But to have extra innings and have a runner start at second base, I think that was brilliant. It's a brilliant idea to try to speed up the game, try to end the game quicker. And that allows the managers to strategize, man. And that's one thing I don't even see. And if I'm not mistaken, in the series, you did have bases loaded in extra innings, and you guys came out short.
Yeah, it's been happening a lot.
How you do that?
I hate this. I think it's the stupidest thing in the world. This is what they do in beer league softball. I don't understand the rule. I mean, listen, I'll sit and watch 18 innings if I have to. I don't care. I
Seriously,
really don't care.
you don't like the rule staying at
Stupid.
second base?
No, how do you count that? Is that a run scored for the guy? I don't. How does that even work?
That's a great question. I never thought about that. I'm gonna have to look that one up. I mean,
What and
is it an RBI? I will assume that's a RBI.
Yeah, sure. Think about this, right? Guy come you start off the inning, guy steals third on the first pitch, and you hit like a nubber 3 feet in front of the plate, and the guy scores. That's an RBI single? Get out of here with that garbage. Come on. Have some integrity.
Not I just don't see managers managing the game, strategizing, getting people in scoring position. It's all like
Why not just go to a home run derby style after the ninth inning?
ah,
Yeah, and you want to do gimmicks? You want to play games? Do that. Do that game. I came to see home runs. I came to see home runs. I didn't come to see Aaron Boone and Kevin Cash match wits, or Alex Cora and who's that other lunatic from Houston, Hinch. You know what I mean? I'm not
now.
Oh yeah, I'm not here to watch these guys like match. I don't care. I want to see guys hitting. I want to see home runs. Listen, baseball again is really it's hurt itself, and guys like Neil Walker aren't in baseball anymore. Guys who are hitters, guys who know how to hit situationally, guys who know when there's a guy on second and there's no outs that you hit the ball on the ground to the right side.
Right. Absolutely.
That's a basic
fundamentals of baseball. That's how I call it.
It's completely lost in this game, and as a result of that, you have the current disaster that right now is baseball, and you're trying to. Here's the thing, and this is, I mean, I understand you're trying to appeal to more fans. That's cute, but you also have to keep the fans that you have, or you won't have any eventually.
Bottom line is, I think baseball is real lost, and I think the only person really that should be next in line as a commissioner of baseball should be Theo Epstein. Did I say that right?
Sure. Epstein, it's all
yeah,
the same.
Whatever his name is, right? I'm so bad with names. Theo.
I like Theo Epstein. I'd be all right with that.
I do, because listen, I mean, if he's able to take the Red Sox to win the World Series, the Cubs change that around. He is now being used as the guy to assist and making a lot of improvements. So why not just put him in there? I mean, this guy knows what he knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? And I feel like everyone else, and I'm going to take him a step back. You're talking about juicing the baseballs and stuff like that. Look, then why are we drug testing? Why are we doing this? Why are you doing that? Everybody knew the steroids use, but everyone wanted to turn their back and act surprised. There's so much drama, so much soap opera in baseball that it's sad the way things are today. But you know what's never sad? Is the Red Sox and Yankees rivalry. Could they create another one, knowing that the race is tight now and would have remained tight all the way to the end of the season? As we look at the standings right here, we have the Red Sox in second place, Yankees in third. Red Sox winning today. They're now 2 games back of the Rays. Thanks to the Yankees, they split the season with them. And let's see what happens now, because now the Rays travel to Toronto, while the Red Sox and Yankees handled their 3-game series, in which, Joe, these are the first 3 games, but they're stacking it up all the way to the end to see this rivalry just blood in and blood out.
The Yankees are 13-18 against the American League East, and that is definitely problematic. The only difference is the Red Sox have not played well on the road, and Tampa Bay has not played well at home. And that's got to be that could be of concern, because the Yankees, I will tell you this, have a winning record both home and on the road. It's not great. It's a little above 5 on both ends, and to me that's important. I mean
But I
that
have to correct you on that one. The Red Sox do good. They do good, except for the Astros.
am I wrong? Are they playing poorly at
It's the other
home?
way
Same
around.
thing. Also playing
At
well on the road.
home
All right.
at Fenway Park, I don't even know why. You
Yeah.
think you have
So
home field advantage?
it's both teams, both Boston and Tampa
Hmm.
have not played well at home. I mean, you're playing half your games there. You better start winning at a better clip than 40% because
You're
that's
buying the tickets to see them win, and they lose. I guess maybe I have to travel on the road games just to see a victory.
well, yeah. Yeah. There's a place not too far from here where they're going to be playing. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Um Yeah, the Yankees. You'll see this series. The starting pitching will do pretty well. The bullpen's phenomenal. It really is. They're really good this year. And Zach Britton's been gone all year. He'll be back in a couple of weeks, as will Luis Severino. Started his rehab program. Luke Voigt is injured, and he'll be out for an extended period of time. That's relatively new. So there's been some reshuffling in the Yankees lineup. DJ LeMahieu, you could see over at first base, or Mike Ford. Tyler Wade probably at second, maybe even Gleyber Torres. It looks like the Gleyber at shorts experiment is starting to come to an end. Gio Urshela has made some appearances at short. So it'll be interesting to see what the Yankees do with that. There's also a lot of talk about the Yankees going out and making a trade, maybe for Trevor Story, who's currently injured, but something I think the Yankees could strongly consider because, and here's the big problem. A lot of people's suggestion is, hey, why don't you throw LeMahieu at third, put Urshela at short, and Gleyber at second? But here's the problem with that. Gleyber sucks at second base. He's actually worse at second than he is at short. He was not good in 2018 when he was their second baseman. So by moving Gold Glove winner DJ LeMahieu off of second base to third base, you're now weakening a second position. And by taking your best third baseman in Urshela and making him a shortstop, you're actually making all of the positions weaker than when you started. It's not good. I mean, that's cutting off your nose to spite your face is the expression. The Yankees, I think, are going to have to either go out and get Trevor Story or suck it up, and Gleyber Torres is going to have to struggle through another season at short.
Man, you're speaking real about your Yankees, man. I had thought you coming in that you would just say the Yankees are going to do this, they're going to do that, and man, your team is just like the Red Sox. I mean, they're kind of equivalent to one another because look, Franchi Cordero got sent down to AAA because he wasn't able to swing the bat, and we got Danny Santana moving up, but he ain't doing that well either. Today he went 0 for 4. While the Red Sox were winning 5-1, and he's batting at 143. Alex Verdugo is stepping up to the plate. He's batting at 286. JD
Starting
Martinez
to justify that Mookie trade. I was looking at his numbers. I'm very curious. I've been following Verdugo to see how that pans out for you guys.
So Martinez, Bogarts, and Devers, those are your 3, 4, and 5. They're actually doing outstanding. Devers, who had a slow start, is creeping up. He's leading the team in home runs. And then Renfroe, he's popping up too. But he's not an everyday.
I've liked him a lot for a long time. He's been such an underachiever. I'm glad to see him doing well. I'm sorry it's in Boston.
No, say thank you.
Yeah.
And then Christian Arroyo hit a home run today, but he's coming back from an injury. The game against the Orioles where he got hit with a pitch and it's on his hand. And he was never the same, and he kind of struggled coming back, but he's getting into the groove of things. But Bobby Dahlbeck has been a very big disappointment this year. He was the guy that's supposed to be almost similar to Aaron Judge. Not trying to compare, but he played 25 games. Within those 25 games, he was knocking the ball out of the park last year. This time around, he's batting a 197.
Yeah,
and it bothers me to see. Look, if your batters can't bat 250 or above, why can't you just send them down to AAA? Get them a rehab assignment or something until they find a way how to swing the bat. And again, that goes back to telling that I've been telling you in the beginning is if you want to win championships, you got to hit the ball. Stop hitting for home runs. Start contact because contacting scores runs. Runners on base, I'm telling you, not everything has to be with home runs. But hey, looking at the leaders, JD Martinez leading with a 322 average, Devers 14 home runs, 43 RBIs, on base percentage. Martinez leading the way and total hits. For the Yankees, Aaron Judge is leading the way with all kinds of stats right there, man. Average, home runs, RBIs. I mean, you name it. Aaron Judge is having one hell of a
Well,
season.
and I'll tell you what, he went through a stretch. They moved Giancarlo Stanton into the 2 spot and backed Judgy up to 3.
Mm-hmm.
And Stanton went on a run, 12-game hitting streak. He batted .481 with 6 home runs and 12 RBI. It was stunning to see this guy play like this. Now,
watch this. Hold on, before you finish. I have Aaron Judge on my fantasy league.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I can't stand the Yankees, you know that. But damn, Aaron Judge is making me win. So I can't complain.
Well, so he went 0 for 11 with 7 strikeouts immediately after they moved Stanton up into the 2 spot. And fans are quick to be like, what the hell's wrong with Judge? And it's like, well, he's not hitting in front of Stanton. Now he's providing the protection. And when Gio Urshela is hitting behind you, I'm not throwing you fastballs. And so I went through and I did a breakdown of Aaron Judge's 11 at-bats. And Aaron Judge saw 0 fastballs. There's no reason to throw him a fastball if I'm not worried about walking him if Giancarlo Stanton's not up next. And so, right, I mean, this is the sort of stuff that I think is a little nuanced, and I think sometimes fans don't get. And just like that, Judge started hitting again. Once Luke Voigt showed back up in the lineup, it added a little bit more depth. Now Gary Sanchez has been hitting a little bit. Glaber started hitting. Clinton Frazier had a walk-off the other night. He's gotten a little bit hot. So the lineup gets a little deeper. The batting averages, I mean, dude, everybody was hitting under 200. It was unbelievable. And they're all starting to creep back up. The hitting, I think, is going to catch up. I don't think it can stay like this all year.
I hope not. You're right.
Yeah, these guys are too good for this to happen.
Let me ask you this. And again, I've been starting watching baseball since the early 80s, right? And I love stats, collecting baseball cards and everything else, okay? But have you ever heard of a baseball player that batting under 200 still in the roster?
No.
I'm very unheard of.
Rob Deere, Pete Incaviglia from the 80s. Those were 2 guys, but maybe the only 2 guys. Mm-hmm. Dave Kingman, I think, had a terrible year, early 80s, maybe even late 70s. But yeah, that would be a one-way ticket to, and the other reason those guys lasted was because they could hit 30, 40 bombs a year.
Mm-hmm.
And, they struck out a lot, but not like 250 times. That's ridiculous. So, it was a different game now, but sure. I mean, if you consistently hit 200, first of all, you were a platoon player.
Mm-hmm.
So this idea that Francisco Lindor is hitting like 220 or whatever, that can't happen. That kind of, you're a starter. You gotta hit something respectable, 260, 270. Give me that at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the game is so different now, and I don't understand it necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard. Let me do this because I don't think I've done this on this. I haven't done this on this show. I've done it everywhere else.
Oh,
I want to talk about WAR for a minute. That's WAR. WAR.
Oh yeah.
Wins above replacement,
mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you why it's nonsense. Are you ready?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Jacob deGrom won the Cy Young Award a couple of years ago, and he had how many wins? Do you know? 10.
10?
10.
Okay.
He won 10 games in 32 starts. Do you know what his WAR was that year?
It's got to be high for him to win
10.
the Cy Young. How is it a 10 when the pitcher plays 1 out of every 5 or 6 games?
So hold on. Here's the thing, though. What that means he's worth 10 wins above a replacement pitcher.
But he finished with 10 wins.
Correct. So that means, according to the stupidest of stats, that if you gave any regular pitcher DeGrom's spot that year, he would have lost all 32 starts. That's why WAR is stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Okay? And I explain this to people over and over and over again to the point where it makes me tired sometimes. Anthony Young, who pitched for the New York Mets in the mid-90s, lost 27 consecutive decisions. I don't know if you remember that or not. 27 in a row. That's the major league record. But according to WAR,
he's an outstanding pitcher.
Had Jacob deGrom missed the entire season, a substitute pitcher of any sort would have lost all 32, would have broken the record for consecutive losses and would have chalked up 32 in a row. That stat is dumb.
I'm not a big fan of any additional stats, man. I really don't. My focus is ERA for pitchers, strikeout ratio compared to the 9 innings that they supposedly pitch, right? And then for the offense, batting average. That's all I care about. Because if you're batting less than 250, I'm sorry, you're garbage. I can't depend on you as a player.
Yeah, but so here's the thing, Ovi. What if you did hit 250, but you had 47 home runs and 157 RBI?
Okay, if he's a power hitter.
But no, so hold on, right? But here's the thing. He would hit 250, but you would know it wasn't a soft 250.
Right.
Huh?
I got
Last year, Masahiro Tanaka's ERA, I want to say he finished just under 5, maybe a 4.95. Thing was, if you took away the 2 starts against the Red Sox, and they were bad, he gave up 19 earned runs in about 2 1/3 innings. That's going to inflate your ERA something dreadful.
Right.
His ERA in all other games was a 2.95. There's a big difference between an ERA of 4.95 and 2.95. And so sometimes 2 starts can make a difference. Now, you could say, oh, Masahiro Tanaka, 4.95, he sucks. Well, no, I know what happened. He had 2 exceptionally terrible starts. 10 runs in 1 inning of pitching will destroy your ERA.
Absolutely. That was skyrocket high, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's killer. It's hard to come back from that. So, but again, I saw it and I knew. And so in all of his other starts, I knew how well he pitched. So again, right, you can still go by the old numbers is my point. I'm agreeing with you by telling you I disagree with you.
Don't confuse the audience.
The way I like to do it.
Yeah.
But no, I'm with you. I can look at a guy's baseball card, the baseball card numbers, average, games played, hits, doubles, triples, homers. I have a pretty good sense of my Yankees as to who's being productive and who's not. Now, I'll share this with this show's audience. You're welcome to visit. Oh, Bob Stanley. Love it. 86. Yeah. That's a great card.
And watch this. Stats.
Yeah. Those are the stats that we know and we understand. And really, if you're following your team, you know which guys' numbers aren't real. Right. Oh, he's pitching a lot better than that 4.5 ERA. He is. Yeah. Well, he had 1 disastrous start where he gave up 10 runs in an inning. Oh, well, now everyone understands that. So again, you don't need to make up fancy fake metrics and statistics to try to tell me who's better than what. I'm not buying it. Also, on the topic, Jacob deGrom, I think there's something there needs to be some investigation by the Mets as to what this guy's doing on the mound that seemingly puts the rest of his teammates to sleep. There's got to be something to it. Is he that boring a pitcher? Do they just don't like the guy? Is he a jerk? How do they lose all of his starts? How is that happening? It's been 4 years of this. Yes. It's a real mystery. But here's what I want people that watch this show or listen to the show. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go to Medium. I want you to look up Clovercrest Media, and I want you to read my article about Mike Trout, the king of war, who, if you go to baseballreference.com, do yourself this little favor, and take a look at Mike Trout's numbers. He's so great. So many great numbers. But then go to the splits. career splits. Break it down. Take a look at Mike Trout's batting average late in games or when the Angels are down a couple of runs late in high leverage and clutch situations with runners in scoring position. Look at all of his late and close numbers, and you will find Mike Trout is garbage.
He's $400 million garbage.
When Mike Trout, when the Angels are winning, Mike Trout hits like one of the greats of all time. When the game is on the line, Mike Trout, and the numbers back me up here, they bear out, trust me, Mike Trout is a very below average hitter when it's important. And again, nobody wants to talk about that.
Oh, man.
But the numbers are there. You could see them. I break it down in the article. I'm not buying into fake stats, Ovi. I won't do it. I know what I see.
There's one more player. There's one more player that I want to mention to you. Bryce Harper. A guy that left Washington Nationals to get a big paycheck from the Philadelphia Phillies. What's he doing now? Right? Why are players getting that extra money that's not deserved? Honestly, the guy's batting a 274. Okay? 274, 7 home runs. That's the guy that you want to pay. You know what I mean? We'll go back to what you said before. Mookie Betts going to the Dodgers, and it looks like the Red Sox are paying off for that trade. Right?
Sure.
So when you go to WAR, and you're right, WAR, and there's probably more stats that we haven't even heard of that they're using for their analytics. Well, guess what? We old school. We're just going to be looking at your batting average and ERA, and that's it, man. That's it. Bottom line. Yeah, you got a double. Guess what? That's still a hit. Going against at-bats. So those of you that are doing the math, hits divided by at-bats, that's your average, right? And if we're pitching, take your earned runs, okay, divided by the innings, total innings pitch, and multiply by 9. You will get your answer, and you will understand where we're coming from.
This guy in 2015, 42 homers, 99 ribbies, 124 walks, 330 batting average, 649 slugging. And that's the player everybody thought he was. That's the player everybody wanted him to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2016, 17, 18, 19, batting averages of 243, 249, 260. That's the player that Bryce Harper is. This guy's not worth the money that he's getting in any way, shape, or form. And you know what? If you wanted to argue from the Philly standpoint, hey, it's one of the biggest names in the game. Well, he's also one of the most disliked players in the game. So you're not really. I mean, how many Bryce Harper jerseys have you seen?
Not in my area. But then again, I don't buy people's jerseys because they don't even stick around in the team. There's no dedicated player. Like right now, if I would have bought that Mookie Betts, right, I'd be disappointed because he took off to the Dodgers. You know?
No, slow down a minute. How can you say that? How could you say he took off to the Dodgers? He got traded.
Okay, that's I'm sorry.
This is poor. No, it's not poor. Let me tell you something. If I have an issue with Red Sox fans, there you go. Make it about yourself.
I'm a fan. So I am
find
the biggest
Red
fan.
Sox fans, Boston fans in general. I'm just going to say this and I know this is going to hurt some feelings. The most disloyal fans in all of sports are Boston fans. And
disloyal?
I'll tell you what, somebody tossed in a bottle at Kyrie Irving the other night as a prime example.
Don't go there.
No. Hold on. Not even going there. I'll tell you what. I remember when the Red Sox traded Nomar Garciaparra, it broke my heart. I was like, what? That's your Jeter. And you guys were like, we don't care. Like this. What? Where is the loyalty?
I don't know what Red Sox fan you're talking about, but it sure wasn't me.
Your team, they told Roger Clemens in 1996 that his career was over. And so he took steroids and he showed everybody what was up. You made Roger Clemens do steroids, you jerks.
Hey, and then he went to the Yankees, right?
Yeah, you guys are very disloyal. You are always quick to back management, and I hate that. You back management when it comes to football, when it comes to baseball, and when it comes to basketball. And I think that's a real shame. You know, Boston's such a great city, and it's got a real blue collar mentality. And why you guys suckle up to billionaire owners blows my mind. It really does. You guys got to be better than this. Yankee fans are stupid in so many ways. But if there's one thing Yankee fans understand is there is no sympathy for Hal Steinbrenner. You know why? Because he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Mm-hmm. Go out there, you buck-toothed, curly-haired idiot, and get me Garrett Cole. Stat! And he comes through and he does it. That's what your owner is for. Why you guys suckle up to ownership in Boston is so beyond me. It blows my mind. The loyalty is always to the uniform and not the player. The way you guys turn your back on Johnny Damon, did Johnny Damon want to sign with the Yankees, or did the Red Sox tell him to stick it?
Did they tell him to stick
it? And you guys want to hate on Johnny Damon? He would have been happy to be an idiot with his idiot fans.
Oh, come on, idiot fans, man. He went to the Yankees.
You're disloyal. Yeah, he had to teach you a lesson. He had to teach you a lesson.
Nah, to teach
you
what?
Kick me to the curb. I'll show you what's up. I'll go to New York. I'll do what Roger Clemens did. I'll do what Babe Ruth did. Disloyal. To this day, you guys won't admit what a stupid trade that was. You still won't admit it.
But does it matter now?
You still won't admit it. Say
does
it now.
Does it matter now?
The
Look.
Stupidest trade in the history of sports. Boston Red Sox.
If the Yankees do this and do that, tell me again, and any Red Sox fan will ask you this question. When was the last time the Yankees won the World Series?
2009.
2009?
Yep.
And how many before that? Are you going to tell me 27 time? They got the most rings.
Right? I'll give you every single year. Sure. 2000, 1999, 1998, 1996, 1978, 1977.
But where are the Yankees now? Are they close to winning something, or is the Red Sox closer to winning a championship?
Since 2017, the Yankees have been one of the best teams in baseball.
They're one of the best teams in baseball.
You have no problem with where they are right now. The pitching's never been better.
I think you need to be concerned this year.
No.
Now, okay, since 2001,
I would listen.
I made it to the playoffs 16 times.
I would be concerned if nobody else was hitting. And here's the other thing I'm not worried about. The one thing baseball I wanted them to do that they didn't do was keep the expanded playoff format. But that's probably best because that leaves either you or the Rays home probably.
Okay.
Because you're going to finish behind the Yankees because your pitching's not there, and it's not going to hold up.
You know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Oh, it does.
It doesn't matter where we place. The bottom line is when we go to the playoffs, the Red Sox has a greater chance this year to go further than the Yankees.
No,
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Who told you that?
I'm telling you this.
Who told you that?
I'm telling you
that's
this.
a liar. Who told you that?
Hey.
Was his name Cora?
Hey,
that's not happening. That's not happening.
It is gonna happen.
Oh, geez, do we have to have this conversation on your show?
Yes.
Oh,
you know what?
I feel terrible.
That is why it's called the Red Sox and Yankees rivalry.
I gotta tell them. you want me to do it? All right.
Wait. Hold on.
They want me to tell you no. There's no way.
Joe, hold on for a second. All right. So what I was trying to say is, I'm just kidding. Your name is not Frank Cuesta from the HHW show.
Oh, Frank's a mess. What a mess that guy is. Good Lord, Frank Cuesta. Dear God.
Oh, wait. So I take it this is Linda Gabriel Aguiar, right?
Yeah. I don't even know her.
You don't know her?
No, I've never met this person.
Are you sure?
What does she say? What is she saying?
Are you sure?
It's a very similar name, but that's not. I don't know this person.
No, you don't know that person?
No, but she says, what is she saying? Please, no rivalry. 27-6 is laughable. I think by 27-6, that she's just counting all the championships in the history of those franchises. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, you know what? When it comes to since 2001, we really haven't seen much of the Yankees. They make the playoffs, but they go home disappointed. And that
That's true.
seems like it's going to be 26 in a row or 27 in a row, the way
Yeah.
the pace is going.
Do
And
you
if you
think-
keep Aaron Boone there, you're not going to win a World
Do you
Series
think
with Aaron
6 is a
Boone.
lot?
Do you think 6 a lot?
Yeah, in like
I
120
think
years.
with this Millennium 4
I mean,
already, it's a lot.
In 120 years,
Yeah.
though, is 6 a lot in 120
you know,
years?
I mean,
I'll do the math. That's about 1 every 20 years. That's not a lot. That's not a lot.
I just like my odds on this year, knowing that
Yeah.
the Red Sox will finish ahead of the Yankees. That's all right.
27 in 100
Mhm.
seasons is like every 4th year the Yankees have won a championship. Roughly.
That win a championship every 4 years.
About once every 4 years they've won a
Man,
championship
then-
since it
then-
started.
Then the Millennium is not working pretty for the Yankees now.
Oh
Then, huh?
no, yeah, definitely. Imagine what
Yeah.
the percentage was like before. When I was a
Mhm.
kid, it was like the Yankees had been in like 50% of all the World Series.
Except
That
for the
was
80s.
insane.
The 80s wasn't good for the Yankees either.
Well, don't forget they were in the World Series in 1981 in the strike abbreviated season. They lost to the Dodgers in 6. That was the
Mhm.
first heartbreak I suffered in my life.
Right.
But yeah, no, the 80s were a tough time. And
I think the other
but
time
you know what?
was 1994 with the strike because the Yankees were in first place.
First
And
place.
so were the Montreal Expos.
Yeah, for
and which
people that don't remember that
Mhm.
team.
The Expos would have had made something promising for Canada, but unfortunately that didn't happen. If I'm not mistaken, the
even
manager of the
even
Washington
worse-
Nationals in that team, Martinez.
Even
Mhm.
worse, because of the strike and financial reasons, they ended up trading their star pitcher, Pedro Martinez.
And the Yankees daddy did it all in 2004.
Imagine
So-
that, dude. That
Mm.
strike, not only did that hurt the Yankees in the
Mhm.
Expos as far as seeing who might win a championship, but
Right.
the financial thing was such a burden for Montreal that and obviously that team wouldn't survive Canada for all that much longer. Well, what a
Right.
shame that was. But yeah, listen, the 80s were terrible, but it did something for me that I think a lot of your younger fans, the younger Red Sox fans of today, I'm talking about people that were born like after 97,
Right.
little kids who saw 2004 and 8, 13,
Look, I got a story to
and
tell
18,
you.
and they
but-
don't know. Listen, they
Mhm.
don't know. They don't know the horror and the pain
No.
that you suffered through, or that, and I don't know if your
You know
dad was
what?
a Red Sox fan, but your dad's generation, your
Mm-hmm.
grandfather's generation, the misery and the suffering, what it
I'm-
meant to be a Red Sox fan is lost on this idiot generation of young Red Sox fans.
Mhm.
And I was hoping to appeal to your sense as a responsible Gen Xer to help me talk to these Red Sox fans, these young Red Sox fans that
Mhm.
think the Red Sox are the greatest franchise of all time. They don't know about the 86 years of the curse of the Bambino, the suffering, the embarrassment, the self-loathing of being a Red Sox fan, how stupid those red hats are. You know what I'm talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about. None whatsoever. But I tell you what's even worse. Are you ready? I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you what's even worse. In my household,
Mhm.
there's Red Sox and Mets. Okay. My mom's a big Mets fan. 1986 was not good in my house with my dad. Now that's bad. And we had to wait all the way till 2004 to finally tell my mom, hey, we finally won a World Series. So that's what's going on in my house. So, but hey, I'm gonna take a short break, and we're gonna go on to the pitching stat, probable pitches, and predict what's gonna happen in the next 3 games. So, check it out. It's Sports Talk with R&J. You can catch that on clovercrestmedia.com every week. You can also follow them on Facebook and YouTube. You want to check out that sports show, R&J. Uh, awesome show. I like them. Biggest
Did
fan
you
with them.
did you
Go
make
ahead.
that promo?
I sure did.
So that's really good. Here's my only beef with it. Those guys don't know fighting at all. If I love Steve Risser, we were on Jace's Big Brain Game Show.
Uh-huh.
And Risser blew me out of the water in baseball, college basketball, professional football, every category. He jumped me, got me in wrestling. It was a bad day. The only categories where I destroyed him was MMA and boxing. And so same thing on Stir the Pot Sports, JJ
Right.
Vargas's new show, another really great CMG podcast. There's Riley Barrett Valdez. Loved this guy to death. He doesn't know anything about fighting. He's always running his mouth about fighting, and I always tell him what's going to happen, and then I'm right. And then he wants to, we'll do the next one. And it's like, how many times can you be wrong about this before you just admit who the guy is?
Absolutely. Hey,
That's all I used to follow. Give the devil his due.
I used to follow boxing, but then after the 90s, it's like, it just UFC took over, and I started being a UFC fan.
I sort of slowed down with boxing after my favorite boxer of all time started losing. And
who's your favorite boxer?
Roy Jones Jr.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that scene when he got knocked out back to back, and that was not pretty.
Stuck around too long, unfortunately. You know, when you're a speed guy, you can't stick around too long.
My favorite was Tito Trinidad, and I got a story there where he fought Oscar De La Hoya, and Hector, who is also a host of the HHW show. We had a bet with our rest of our relatives, and we went for Tito, and whoever lost the round had to take a shot of Bacardi. And I tell you, I took 9 shots, and there's only 12 rounds of boxing. Nice. But Tito still won.
I love it. I did a car dealership appearance with Joe Frazier in 1998, and we went toe to toe for a minute for some pictures. And I said to Joe Frazier, I said, "Do you still have it, champ?" And as the P on my lips pursed out, "Champ," he punched me in the jaw. Joe Frazier punched me in my face.
How'd it feel?
For real. It hurt. Just like this. He went and he hit me right in the face.
I bet you he even barely tapped you and you felt it, huh?
Probably. Maybe it could have been the shock of it all. And he looked at me and he goes, "What do you think?" And I was like, "I was joking, you psycho." Jeez. Right in the face.
I met I forgot his first name, but his last name was Tillman. And he had defeated Mike Tyson in the Olympics. And in professional sports, he got knocked out in the first round to Mike Tyson. And they're doing the Special Olympics here in Connecticut. And I was in high school, and I was performing in the band for something. And he was there for the Special Olympics. And he showed me his fist. I mean, his fist was bigger than my face.
Henry Tillman, yeah.
Henry Tillman, there you go.
Yeah.
He signed my yearbook.
Okay.
And awesome dude, awesome, well down to earth and everything. And I was like, wow, if that's a heavyweight fighter with a fist bigger than my face, I don't want no part of boxing at all. No way. But dude, the guy was down to earth. You would think that those will be tough guys walking around, but the guy could have a great conversation with anyone, So, but that's the only professional fighter I ever met. Yep. So, but anyhow, let's go ahead and move on. I know we went our path to a different way here.
I wanted to tell that story.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah.
Let's break this pitching matchup down. And now we know, by the way, Michael King is pitching for the Yankees on Friday night.
And that's good that you say Michael King, because he's allowed the Red Sox hitter to bat a .357, and he struggles against Bogart's endeavors, but somehow he knows how to pitch to JD Martinez. JD Martinez is 0 for 3 against him with 3 strikeouts. So Let's see if Martinez is able to knock some sense into King in the Bronx. But for Nathan Eovaldi, the Yankees, they've been having success against him, batting the 368. Frazier, Stanton, they've been they're doing it up over there. But Aaron Judge, damn, got 8 strikeouts against Eovaldi, man. Could he be able to, get past it and hit some bombers? What do you think, Joe?
Well, I'll tell you the most telling stat in Nathan Eovaldi's line to me right now is that he's allowed just 1 home run this year.
Yeah.
And, look, he's a hard thrower, strikes out a lot, 58 strikeouts and 60 and 2/3 innings, 14 walks. You like that ratio.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy, I mean, again, the 4 ERA, I'll assume there was a bad start or two in those 9 that he's probably had this year. I could live with that from a guy like Eovaldi. To suggest 2 out of 9 is inconsistent is idiotic. This guy's pitching and this is what we've always thought Nathan Eovaldi could be.
Right. Absolutely.
And so to me, this is it's going to be a matter of, he's and so far so good, but you got to throw strikes. Yankees are a very patient team. You'll notice in this game on Friday night, the Yankees will take the first pitch in nearly every at bat. Nobody understands why they're doing this. It's been something that's been happening all year.
That's been happening for the last 5 years. Like the Red Sox did that in 2018.
I don't get it.
Yeah. But
I don't get it. If there's a fastball over the plate, you should probably hit it because you might not see another one. But yeah, Eovaldi's very good. Michael King is taking the spot that Corey Kluber would otherwise be in. I did mention earlier Kluber's out for 2 months with a issue with his right shoulder. Michael King's an interesting guy. Yankees got him as a throw-in a couple years ago in a deal. And this guy's just in the minor leagues, Ovi, he wins a lot of games. He just, the numbers aren't blow you off the charts, but I think he was like 15-3 the first year he was down in the minors, and just historically wins games. He's been pitching out of the pen. You said earlier he did have the 1 start this year, pitched pretty well. Has had a couple of relief appearances. ERA in the year 2.86. Does have a couple losses. They've come in that stupid extra inning nonsense. He comes in, gives up a single, and the game's over, which is, so garbage. So garbage. But,
I love it. I love
it. Maybe the runner should only be able to advance as much as the hitter does if you want to really get into fake softball rules and stuff.
Oh, come on. It's not that bad.
I hate it. It's dumb. But yeah, so I think, Michael King will have his hands full. He's going to have to give the Yankees at least 4 if they can keep the game close. And I think the key's going to be trying to get to Eovaldi by the 5th or 6th, and then hopefully you get into that Red Sox bullpen, which I've been saying all year. I just don't think it's good enough to compete.
But I got the Red Sox winning this first game outright. And for King, he's going to have a season high record of strikeouts, because I won't be surprised if the Red Sox strike out 11 times and still win the game. It's just that kind of baseball that the Red Sox are doing this year. But of course, I know you're going to say the Yankees are going to win.
Yeah, Yankees are going to rally late. They're going to win this game 4-3.
4-3. I'm saying it's 6-3 Red Sox, especially they come after stamping that 3-game losing streak to the Astros. They're on the road still, going to the Bronx. This game is meaningful. Eovaldi will not fail for the Red Sox. Moving on to game 2, Eduardo Rodriguez versus Jameson. You go ahead, man.
Jameson Taillon.
Jameson Taillon.
It's awful. It's a stupid name. It really is.
You sure you're right?
I believe me. I wanted it to be Jameson Taillon, but that looked easier. It made more sense. And apparently we've been told the pronunciation is Taillon. It's awful.
Well, I'm telling you what's awful. It is that Erod is on a 4-game losing streak, 4 straight starts, 4 straight losses. His ERA has climbed up high. In the month of May, 1-4, 7.28 ERA. And that's from the start of April, he had a 3.52. So we don't know what's going on with Erod. I don't know throwing too many pitches. Let's put it that way. He hasn't lasted past 5 innings in his last 2 starts. And going against the Yankees bats, if he's same performance, I'm telling you that the Red Sox are in a big trouble. This is an advantage for the Yankees to take over and make it even 1-1 on Saturday.
I mentioned earlier, Tyone, again, struggled to put guys away. He's only got 15 walks. He's definitely walked guys in bad spots. 10 home runs. That's too many in 47 and 2/3 innings. He hasn't quite put a whole game together. Now, Erod's interesting, and I'll tell you why. And he's one of those guys I've been keeping an eye on him. Gleyber Torres, quite a few fighters in both boxing and the UFC. Football players, Cam Newton being one of them. Guys who have been affected by COVID-19 have definitely underperformed. I don't believe, Ovis, during the COVID pandemic, anybody who's had COVID-19 in fighting has lost. These guys come back to, and there's something's not right. Like the energy level isn't quite there. The stamina isn't there. Gleyber Torres just finally started hitting. He's got like 2 home runs this year. Again, guy who suffered with COVID. Eduardo Rodriguez was dealing with a heart issue due to COVID last year. This guy's a really good pitcher, and to see him struggling like this tells me I think there's more to it. I got to do more research on this, but I'll be dropping a story on this pretty soon because I don't like what I'm seeing. So I'm going to say
nobody
Yankees,
likes what it's seeing, but the thing is that when they try to sugarcoat on their interviews and stuff like that, yeah, what is the real truth behind why Erod is struggling? And this is the worst time. He is supposed to be the ace pitcher for the Red Sox, and he had a great start. But just before the season started, he had some muscle failures, and you're right. COVID-19 does wonders. It affects your body overall it does. But to see him struggle that way and how he came up, especially in spring training, out of all the pitchers, you would expect Erod to be the most proficient one, and it seems to be the opposite right now.
Yeah. Something doesn't jive there. This kid's such a great pitcher, and my thought, as far as the Red Sox were concerned, was this guy paired up with Chris Sale, absolutely dynamite, 2 great left-handed pitchers, and so I know Sale's gearing up to be back in about a month or so, probably.
Yep, that's what they say.
I hate the Red Sox, but I do like Eduardo Rodriguez, and I'd love to see him right the ship and figure out what's going on there.
Yeah, and the third game we got Garrett Richards versus Domingo Germán. Garrett Richards, man, had a rough start, man. He had an ERA of 4.94. I mean, this guy couldn't even pass 3 innings. Now he's helping the Red Sox and just resting that bullpen, at least giving 6 to 7 innings. His ERA in the month of May is 2.97. I mean, this guy is remarkably just turn things around, and I wouldn't be surprised if he continues this. But Domingo Germán has owned the Red Sox, and this could be a great pitching duel. What I'm looking for here is which pitcher is going to last longer in the game, and the pitcher that's going to last longer is going to have a better advantage.
89 base runners in 60 innings this year for Garrett Richards. He puts too many guys on base. He's not a good enough pitcher. He doesn't strike out enough guys where he can make up for that. He has kept the ball in the ballpark. That has plagued Domingo Germán this year, especially in a year where the home runs seem like they're a little less frequent. He has really struggled with that. But he's a great pitcher. You mentioned he pitches well against the Red Sox. I think this is going to be a really good matchup. I do see this one being another one, though, that the Yankees probably win.
Richards against Aaron Judge. Judge has hit 3 for 3 with a double and RBI. So it's pretty interesting to see how he will pitch against him. But Odor, that's his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's struck out 11 times. He hasn't even got not even a hit against Richards.
Oh, no.
So that's his biggest struggle with him. But as far as Germán, Alexander Bogaerts, he owns him. But I wish I could say Marwin Gonzalez, but Marwin Gonzalez batting under 200. So on stats and on paper, he's batting a 444 against Herman. But since he's batting on the 200, I'm not even going to say his name. All right. I'm not going to say his name because he might strike out 3 times. You know?
Yes, sir.
But I think this game, man, I'm telling you, and at the beginning, yeah, he's walking a lot of batters and stuff like that. Looking at his whip is a 1.48 compared to Herman 1.04. That's a big difference maker. But keep in mind, you said it before, you know, he had those games that were pretty off that affects his stats. But I'm telling you, this is the game that when the Yankees are and the Red Sox are 1-1 come on Sunday, you flip a coin. Who wins? I got the Red Sox winning 2 out of 3 in this series.
I've got the Yankees sweeping this one.
Sweeping?
Yeah.
Man, let me tell you. After what I saw against the Rays, y'all not sweeping the Red Sox. I'm sorry.
That's I don't know what would make you look at that series and decide anything. I have no idea what you're saying.
Just like I don't have no idea why you're proving that they're going to sweep the Red Sox. That's not going to happen.
The pitching's great. The Yankees pitching is better. I think.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
Out really well.
Look, just because I said the Red Sox strike out a lot doesn't mean that they're going to lose.
Yeah. Well, again, the Yankees pitching has not been an issue at all this year.
No, it's just your bats. You can't swing. You know?
Yeah, but there's something about the Red Sox that I think brings out the best in the Yankees.
Yeah, you know, you're going to score 1 run on Friday. That's cool. And the game's probably going to start around 9:30. So you guys are going to be
season
tired.
When the Boston Massacre, when the Yankees won that 5-game series in September. Do you remember that?
No. I don't know nothing about yesterday. No.
Boston Massacre.
Yeah, 2004. Remember that 3-0 start and you lost 4 in a row in the ALCS.
Listen, I appreciate that you brought that up, and I'd like to address that.
You don't want to address that.
I do. I want to bring that up.
You're gonna wake somebody else up. I'm gonna get that phone call. I don't want that phone call.
Listen, by the way, Boston Massacre was in August of 2006. Yanks took 5 in a row at Fenway, but we're not here to talk about that.
We're talking about Red Sox 2 out of 3.
Enjoy talking about it. I'm happy to talk about it, but let's talk about 2004 for a hot second.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor. Any Red Sox fan who's ever suggested that the Yankees choke, do yourself this big favor. I want you to Google who was favored to win that series. Every single knowledgeable baseball person in New York and Boston and nationally picked the Red Sox to win that series in 6 or 7 games. If there was a shocker to that series, it was the fact that the Yankees were up 3-0. And I remember when the Yankees won game 3, it was 19-8. I'll never forget this. I thought to myself, they scored too many runs. Too many runs. That's a lot of runs, dude. And I think they had scored 10 or 11 in the opener, and I thought, bats are going to get cold, man. But don't ever forget that the Red Sox were supposed to win that series. The Red Sox should be ashamed of themselves that they were even down 0-3 in that series. Certainly a nice rally to win the 4 in a row, but you did that because you had to, but you were supposed to. So before you pat yourselves on the back too hard and hurt yourselves, take it down a notch. Whatever, you're on mute. I'm sure whatever you're mumbling is the smartest thing you've said.
It was the SAP button, and another channel. I was speaking Spanish, but now I'm back. So, but you're right. That game 1 was 10-7.
Oh, there you go. Right,
right, and then 19-8. You guys hit 22 hits.
I was really I again up 3-0, and I was on a morning show. I was like doing the morning show at KC 101 with a Red Sox fan, and she was like pretty confident, and I was like, confident? No, there's no way this team should be up 3. I won't celebrate until they've clinched this series. And again, credit to the Red Sox because Mariano Rivera is so great,
right?
So great.
And he's one of the greatest closers in baseball history. but you got a price tag behind your back. What's going on there?
Yeah, it's a newer shirt. I haven't taken the tag off it yet, and I don't want to rip it.
Don't
I
tell
don't
me
want
you're
to
one
rip
of
it.
those guys, but I'm going to turn it in
I'm
because
gonna
I get my
return this
money
as soon
back.
as the show's over.
Oh
No,
yeah.
my mom actually bought this for me. Mariano Rivera, great.
Oh
Mariano Rivera, who is like the Kurt Schelling for Yankee fans these days.
yeah.
He's a big Trump supporter, that guy. Anyway, love Mariano Rivera. The Red Sox had sort of figured him out by like 2004, and really for most of the rest of his career, any Yankee Red Sox matchup that included Mariano, he still dominated them. It always felt like they were on the ropes, though. And
Yeah.
and I do remember. I mean, I lived in Maine for a while. I do remember him giving up some big home runs to the Red Sox to lose games, and it was just something that we weren't accustomed to. But when you see a guy 19 times a year, you're apt to start hitting him,
Right. Exactly.
especially when
Absolutely.
he only throws one pitch
Hmm.
over and over again, and it's
Well,
like knee high.
I like the story where the clock strikes 12, and then all of a sudden David Ortiz game winning home run, game winning RBI, and you'd be like, damn. And you know what? The longest games, those games were worth watching. That could be extra innings just to see the drama. It's like a big soap opera, like a big cinematic movie. You're
Yeah.
gonna get that rage and everything else. You're gonna be glued in. And I don't
Let
think
me ask
any other
you.
game. I don't
Let
think
me
any
ask you
other
this.
teams. Do you think any other teams are like the Red Sox and the Yankees rivalry?
No, and that's why we're doing this stupid extra inning rule. Let me ask you this question, though. This is important to me. I need to know
Uh-huh.
this.
Oh boy, here we go.
I know this is your show, but I'm gonna ask a question now.
Yeah. It's your show. You're the owner of Clovercrest Media.
What I want to ask you is a two-parter. First question, keep it brief.
Okay.
Your
No.
thoughts on Alex Rodriguez in the Hall of Fame? And this is clearly a loaded question.
I was not expecting that, but
No, of course you weren't.
wow.
And I hope you know where I'm going next with my second part of this question.
If you're gonna talk about David Ortiz,
I sure as hell am. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to do it. We're going to go there.
Okay, so who proved?
Let me ask you this.
Uh-huh.
Here's my overall issue.
No. Actually, let me ask you. I'll answer your question now.
Go ahead.
I believe, and I always like to look at the overall performance. Yeah, A-Rod did say he was guilty about doing steroids and stuff like that, right? But
Yeah.
could we say that during the time he was with Seattle, during the time, like I know at the beginning when he got that paycheck with Texas, he did admit and stuff like that, but you still got to hit the ball. And that's the thing that bothers me is that we don't know all the players that tested positive, did this, did that. We don't know,
Right.
and you still got to hit the ball. You still got to coordinate yourself. No, yeah, you added more power to it and stuff like that. Does it affect your swing more? Does it do this? Can I know more of the science part? Was that cheating? Or is it today the baseball, the way they juiced it up a few years back, and now the differential was going on today? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm still confused, and there's
right, in or out?
politics in baseball.
In or out?
I say he's in. I really do, and I think David Ortiz.
I agree with you. I would put them both in. I need Bonds in there, and I need Clemens in there.
Yes.
And listen, I'm with you here.
Mhm.
Jeremy Giambi also was a steroid user. Jeremy, as well as Jason.
Right.
There's certainly levels of what steroids seems to deliver for people. I mean, if you're not a good baseball player like Jeremy Giambi, it's not going to make you one.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a guy like Jason Giambi, steroids will get you up to the elite level. If you're Barry Bonds and you're elite level, it's going to make you an absolute superstar. But as you said, listen, here's the thing about steroids, and I don't think most people understand this, is that you have to work out. It's not spinach. It's not like Popeye. He's like, wow, whoop, home run. No, you have to work out.
You sure about that?
Yeah, you got to put the work in. David Ortiz could eat a jar of steroids, it wouldn't do him any good.
I thought it was like He-Man when you put the sword up and then all of a sudden you
that's
boom,
what
get your muscles.
I think. A lot of people think that you're in the clubhouse and you're like, all right, stick me, and then you grab a bat and you're like, boom, 500-foot homer. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
All steroids does is allows you to work out more, and if working out more is cheating, I want to see more cheating. I mean, I don't know. That doesn't seem. This guy works out 8 hours a day. What a dick. I mean, he should stop that. What? Isn't that what we want? We want the guys to play better. Now, I think it's a fallacy that it makes pitchers throw harder or hitters hit harder. Your bat swing's your bat swing.
Right.
And if you're bulking up muscles on your arms, your swing's not going faster. I think your swing would be slower. So I don't buy into that. This is a hand-eye coordination game.
Right.
Edgar Martinez used to use a pitching machine to throw tennis balls that have been 120 miles an hour, and they would write words on the ball. And Edgar, not swinging, would just watch the ball in, and he would have to yell out and read what the word was on the ball. That sort of
that's a lot
hitter,
of skills.
That sort of hitter is gone from today's game, right, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't. The steroid thing doesn't bother me. And as long as we're going to keep all the records in play, then put the guys that did it in play as well.
Don't give me that asterisk stuff. Don't give me all that.
Yeah,
crap,
I'm not interested in any of that stuff. It's time to get those guys in there. We know what they did.
Right.
It's like you don't need to make up a war stat. I know what guys are good and what guys are bad. I watch the games.
Mm-hmm.
I'll always know what happened with Clemens and Bonds. We'll always know about McGuire and Sosa, but spare me the drama with we're going to keep the records in the Hall of Fame. And we're, how many home runs did Barry Bonds hit?
A total or that season? Because I know he went over 70.
Everybody knows 73. What was his, what did he
600, he went over, Aaron, what was this, over 700?
He hadn't had more than 755. Okay. Everybody knows 755 was Aaron. Right. Nobody knows 763. Nobody cares.
Right. So
nobody cares. That's not even a real number. It's the home run record, and nobody knows what it is. Either we observe it or we don't.
Was anybody complaining when McGuire and Sosa were having that race? I bet you everyone was loving baseball because they had the viewers.
I was the only person who was I was like, because I was a fan of Sammy Sosa when he was a White Sox. Sammy Sosa, when he was on the White Sox, was 5'8", 175 pounds. 2 years later, he was a Chicago Cub, and he was 5'8", 260 pounds of muscle. And I was like, what the hell happened to Sammy Sosa? That's not the same guy. That was ridiculous. Now, McGuire, on the other hand, you'll recall, hit 49 home runs his rookie year.
Right.
When he was a skinny third baseman.
Yes. I had his future star baseball card.
Same. Right? Skinny guy. Plus, he didn't play the last 10 games of the year because he wanted to be with his son or some crazy nonsense. So who knows how many he probably would have hit. So he was always a home run hitter.
Right.
So what did the steroids do? Let him hit like 10, 11 more in a season?
I mean, he didn't hit
600 at bats. Was that worth it? That was the difference maker? Come on.
Look, he got buffed while he was with the Oakland A's before he went over there to the St. Louis Cardinals, him and Canseco. And nobody mentioned that, and nobody wants to say his name. Ricky Henderson, when he was with the Yankees, he was skinny. He was still fast. Yeah. And look, when he was with the A's, he was buffed. I mean, this got a leadoff hitter. You know what I mean?
He did get kind of jacked later in his career, too. He was very jacked.
But nobody want to say nothing.
Well, so this is funny, too. Frank Thomas. I love Frank Thomas, the big hurt. And everyone's like, oh, he was a tight end at Auburn. He's always been a big guy. Well, how the hell do I know how he got big? Ken Griffey Jr., the natural.
Nugenics.
How do I know how do I know this?
The Nugenics. because the metabolism is high, and
But
it
dude,
works for the
listen,
ladies too.
we can't play this game with the Hall of Fame where we're going to try to play guess who did steroids and guess who didn't.
Right.
We know A-Rod and we know Manny Ramirez. Most of the rest of them, we think we're not quite sure. We have evidence in court against Roger Clemens, an FBI raid evidence against Barry Bonds. No failed tests for any of those guys. Never an admission of it.
Mm-mm.
So again, I mean, that was a black mark on baseball.
Yeah.
I say you do what my family would do in this situation. You just forget it ever happened and just act like everything is normal.
Move on. That's it.
Just forget. We don't even have to ever talk about it again. It happened and it's over.
Look, it's going to come up again, especially like nobody made it to the Hall of Fame this year. So hopefully next year we get some more numbers. And Kurt Schilling, he don't want to be on the list anymore.
Here's one more thought on this.
Mm-hmm.
Pudge Rodriguez, linked to steroids, gets in. Mike Piazza, rumored to be on steroids, gets in. Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, two of the greatest of all time, alleged to have used steroids, not in. So again, the sports writers of America, up on their high horse, are playing the game where they're going to guess who was on steroids. And even if they think that guy might have, that guy I liked, he's in, that guy sucks. Right. I don't like this. It's an all or nothing for me. Either you throw everybody out and you strike all the records from the record book, or you grow up, you move on, you suck it up, and we pretend that it is what it is, and that's the end of it.
I think the Hall of Famers, Major League Baseball Hall of Famers, should be the only ones voting those in.
I agree.
It. That's the only thing we agree about.
They know who deserves to be there.
Right. And the Red Sox will take 2 out of 3 this weekend.
While getting swept.
In the rain tomorrow, Friday.
Yeah. It's going to be crazy. We'll see what happens.
All right. And
I'm excited. I tell you what, I'm excited that you are delusional about the Red Sox. I think that is, I'm honestly, because it's going to be a long summer.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you foolishly believe in your heart of hearts that the Red Sox have any sort of chance at winning a World Series.
Remember what I told you at the beginning.
Here's what I can do, Ovi. I'm going to stick with you all season.
Of course you can.
And come September, 8 back, 3 back of the wild card. You're not quite there. I'll be here for you to cry to.
All right, fair enough. And you know what? You know what's so beautiful about this is that I get to replay this as a sound bite.
Yeah.
Every time the Red Sox win, and this is I'm going to replay this over and over.
The season will end with the Red Sox 8 games behind the Yankees and 3 back of the wild card, and they'll miss the postseason. Oh, so close. So there'll be some silver linings here. This season will not have gone for naught. You know, you guys will be building for 2021. I think that's got to feel good for you.
Nah, you know what? I'm just surprised that the Red Sox are playing the way they are. Because honestly, at the beginning, I had my doubts looking at the stats, looking at the history of the players, but playing that the way they are playing, remarkably, how bad they're playing, and yet they're in second place.
Yeah,
they only can move up. So I feel sorry for the Yankees.
Well, they could also move down.
No, they can move up.
I see why you would think that, but
hey, and ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe Aguirre. Please go to clovercrestmedia.com. Look at all the episodes, shows, podcasts, everything. Over 30 shows there. Check it out. Read the article.
We just cracked 40.
Ooh, 40. Congratulations.
Cracking a 4-0. Pour some out.
And if you missed the show and you want to go back and listen, you can find me on your audio podcast on any streaming app that you have. Just go ahead and subscribe. Go to my YouTube channel, subscribe even more as well. And stay tuned, because in Spanish they say que ría último ría mejor. That means whoever laughs last laughs better. Aha.
I can't wait to do that. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
The Boston Red Sox hit the field looking to get back on top of the American League East. We're breaking down every pitch all season long on Obi's Backstop Podcast, part of the CMG Sports Podcast Network. Thank you so much for listening to Obi's Backstop Podcast, part of the CMG Sports Podcast Network. For more, visit hhwshow.com.